What's good, y'all? Dr. Evil Genius here for TSP. And you see the title of the video. Trevor Bauer's 2-year suspension from Major League Baseball is wrong. Now, as a New York Mets fan, this may kind of go counter to what some of my fellow Met fans might think or feel on the subject, being that Trevor Bauer did a very elaborate dance in order to extract more money from the Los Angeles Dodgers by floating the possibility that he would sign with the New York Mets. And he went and he got a lot of money out of Los Angeles. And many of us Mets fans were not happy. But even so, even though I do not like the way that Trevor Bauer handled the contract negotiations, even though he was within his rights to do so because he got what he was looking for, which was as much money as he possibly could get from what was at the time the very best team. I think that this suspension sends just terrible messages throughout society. Currently, there is a trial going on where a certain actress has been outed for telling falsehoods in an attempt to destroy the life and the career of her then husband. She has been outed as a domestic abuser. Do you know how her situation is being handled? Her situation is being handled by reducing some of the screen time that she appears in the movie that she has already gotten paid for. We're just going to reduce her screen time a little bit. But here we have a suspension of a player, and the reasoning for the suspension of this player is that they claim that he violated the league's domestic violence and sexual assault policy. And then you have this quote here directly from Mr. Bauer: "In the strongest possible terms, I deny committing any violation of the league's domestic violence and sexual assault policy. I am appealing this action and expect to prevail. As we have throughout this process, my representatives and I respect the confidentialities of the proceedings." Trevor Bauer is being suspended for violating a policy that the courts have determined he did not violate. There is mountains of evidence to suggest that the accuser in this situation fabricated her story so that she could extract massive sums of money from this man. She claims that she was SA'd after she drove more than 2 hours to engage in a sexual liaison with him, directed him on how she wanted that liaison to go, and then left, and then returned afterwards. She claims that she was SA'd the first time, but she drove more than 2 hours home, and then on a separate occasion drove more than 2 hours back to engage in similar sexual conduct with Mr. Bauer. She has been outed via text message of bragging to her friends about how she's going to be able to destroy him and his career, how she's going to be able to get all of this money. Basically, she thought that she was already paid and that it was all but academic, because she understood that the only thing you need to do is make an accusation. Meanwhile, we have a rapper who claims that she essayed a bunch of guys and robbed them, committing multiple violent felonies. She was able to admit that in public, no cancellation. But here you have a guy that has massive amounts of evidence that points to his innocence, and he gets responded to by Major League Baseball with a 324 game suspension. And they are saying he violated our policy. What is your policy, Mr. Manfred? Is your policy don't ever have somebody accuse you of a crime? Is that the burden that men in society now have to meet? We have to make sure that nobody accuses us of anything. Never mind whether or not we actually committed the act that we are accused of. Or maybe it's, maybe men should not engage in certain types of sex, regardless of whether the woman consented to it or not. Because let me tell you, the kind of stuff that they were doing, not for me. I'm just going to tell you right now, I have no desire to engage with women that, choke me or slap me or do this or pull my hair. Nope. I've got no desire for it. So I can't ride with Trevor Bauer on the kinds of sex that he is willing to consent to, because that ain't me. But the fact that they both consented to it, and she admits to consenting to it, she admits to fabricating the story, and he still gets a 324 game suspension. But when I talk about the plight of men in modern society, about how we're very much taken for granted, how the burden of performance and the burden of decorum, the standards that we're held to, is so much higher than our lady counterparts. I get all of this pushback. This I do not understand. Maybe you in the comments might be able to help me understand. Tell me what I got wrong here. Down in the comment section below. Dr. Evil signing off.